Hi, Michael Kennedy with you. So here's part 2 of our MRE thing. I had a good comment that this little meal I made up quickly, or that I was doing yesterday, didn't have much fiber and didn't have a vegetable component or fruit. So, and also the suggestion of a multivitamin. And I think people, whenever I've heard people doing long-term food storage, it seems like generally they forget the idea that a multivitamin with minerals should probably be part of that storage. I mean, you have to be aware of the date that's on it, because even though it's not going to hurt you to eat vitamins later, they can start losing their potency after the best use by date. So especially with vitamins, you don't want to skimp on the expiration date or the best use by date and use them much later than that. So, I mean, if you do have a kit that you put these vitamins in, be aware of the date. And if all of a sudden you've got, let's say you've got a supply that has 60 doses in it, that you've got to look at that and make sure that you use it before that date, and also to replace it. And the fiber, something I could put in it and it would still be wrapped, is the Metamucilin crackers that provide quite a bit of fiber. Believe it or not, some of the MREs in total don't have a lot of fiber in them, because they're supposed to cut down on the number of times that a soldier has to go to the bathroom. So that's part of it. And what about some regular, let me show you what we're going to do here. We've got our 100-calorie kind of fake chocolate drink. It's got whey protein, but I guess they can't really call it milk. We got our bacon grill, and we've got our a little package of crackers with peanut butter. Did you know that peanut butter and bread together make a completed protein? So that's interesting. So let's say approximately serving size 2 in this can. No, 3. Sorry, 3. So if you eat this whole can, there's 300, 400, almost 500 calories in this alone. So I don't think I'll eat all of this. I mean, I'm more sedentary in my lifestyle, so it would be a better goal to think about, rather than hitting this 1,000 calorie per meal mark, that you would go down. You'll be thinking more on looking for calorie intake around 2,200. So you divide that by 3. So you're going to come out in that 700 to 800 range. So we are going to give this a try. Let's see where this is made first. I didn't check. Distributed by Cincinnati food group. Usually they'll have to say they're made in a foreign country. Personally, I avoid any products. Sometimes when you're buying food products, these inexpensive ones at dollar type stores, they can be made in China. And I'm sorry if you think that's prejudice or anything. I don't eat packages of food from China. There's just been too many problems related to it. We're looking at this can. It's dated 22. So I read something that said that the canned meats, now this is assuming you're storing at 72 degrees or under, are good for 2 to 5 years past their date. So we're looking at this being in date for 5 to 8 years. Okay. And what is this is a non-refrigerated item. This is best used by December 5th, 20th. So this has got a really short life. Usually with liquids, you want to pay more attention to the life of it. Although this is kind of one of those sterile packs. So let's give it a try. This has its nice little opening, and I can smell it immediately. You can see it kind of has a, it kind of looks like bologna or Spam, but it doesn't have all of that fat. Here's my eating utensil for now. I mean, you would want to include a spoon or something, spoon or fork. But let's just pull some out. This is more of a taste test anyway. You don't want to see me chewing forever. To me, this tastes like slightly spicy bologna. Am I really tasting the bacon? The bacon flavor? I'm not sure. I found universally that if you fry these types of things, the quality of the taste improves dramatically. Especially the Spam products. If you brown them up really good in a fry pan, cut them in small pieces, brown them up, you can put them in like omelets or anything, and they'll pass for regular ham. So we're going to eat half of this. Maybe at home we'll fry the rest of it up just to see. Now I'm interested in, I haven't tried this Yahoo product forever. I have tried it before, but I have no idea now how similar. Arthritic hands, my knife gets used a lot. Someone sent this to me, thank you. That's my go-to everyday carry knife that I have in my pocket. Rich in calcium and vitamin D. Wow. Vitamin D 25%, calcium 25%. Okay, let's see if it tastes like chocolate milk. Certainly really chocolatey. 99% fat and caffeine free. Why would you put caffeine in chocolate milk? Oh, it's interesting. This says, is this the one? No, but there was one of the products like this said it was gluten free. It's funny when they label things. I guess people throw so many ingredients in different foods, it's important to say that. So, chocolate milk, sort of. Not bad. And the crackers. I've tried those so many times. I know these are excellent. It was interesting that there are two types of crackers. One with peanut butter and one with cream cheese. And the protein content of both were the same. Where I would have assumed that the peanut butter ones would have been higher. Now, what about a little general information about military MREs? This is what we're kind of stacking up against, but this has all kinds of deficiency compared to that, and one of them is the storage life. MREs, meals ready to eat, made for the military, can last up to 5 years at a cooler temperature. They only last a month at 140 degrees. So, and you know, some of the soldiers who would be in situations in some of these foreign countries where the temperatures are really high, and it would be very easy if you've got a car to have that temperature in your car during the summertime go up to 140 degrees. I would assume in a military pack, maybe in some desert country, that the temperatures could get quite high and would make that shelf life go really quick. But MREs, which some people don't know, are not designed to be used over 2 weeks. Only a 2-week period. They're not meant to have a complete nutritional component in them, they're not meant for long-term use. They're only meant for this 2-week period. And they figure that's as long as anyone should go. Now, in reality, some of these people are going to be going back to places where they can eat. So hopefully they aren't going for 2 whole weeks at a time. And you can imagine a soldier on his own, it would be extremely difficult to carry 2 weeks of MREs. MREs are fairly big and bulky. So we kind of have 3 basic types of military MREs. We have the standard one. You see it's in the brown plastic bag, which you can see some of the reviews I've done. It's got a heater in it, so you can add water to it, heat your meal out. It's got all of these things. Well, then they found out that there's even a note saying, "Soldier, eat all of your MRE." And they were finding that some soldiers weren't. Some soldiers were just taking them and taking out the components they wanted to and throwing the rest away, partially because of the weight of the item. In other words, let's just say you're going to be out for 3 days, carrying 2 or 3 of these per day. That's fairly bulky and weighs something. So they invented this new sort of item called the First Strike MRE meal, which basically centers around the idea that the main part of the meal doesn't need to be heated. It's kind of a breaded thing that has different fillings in it. Excuse me, called the First Strike sandwich. Okay, so there you have that. It's a smaller meal. It's made to be able to be consumed while you're actually on the go. And then the other MRE, which I had one once, was the idea of a freeze-dried MREs, and they kind of have 2 purposes. The long-range meal, in other words, I said 3 types, but I think technically this splits off into another one. But a long-range one, in other words, the point of it is being lighter. So they freeze-dry what they can, so that eliminates the water from the meal, so it makes the meal dramatically lighter. Then they have cold weather MREs, which basically, again, are centered around having the water removed from these things, because you don't want to have to deal with, you got a retort pouch of, let's say, chicken and rice, and it's a brick. It's frozen solid. So you've got to not only thaw it out, but you've got to heat it up. So in these cold weather MREs, they will basically have a freeze-dried item or items that you do add water to and you heat up. But the idea is that because they don't have that water, they don't freeze, and that amount of water freezing would take quite a bit of heat to overcome that, first to thaw it out, then to actually cook it. So the idea of these cold weather MREs are based around this freeze-dried components, just like the long-range ones were. And I don't know to what extent the long-range ones have been just replaced with the First Strike type idea, where the meals are just smaller and something you could actually be walking while you eat them and consume them. It's not the case with the other meals. You have to basically, sit down, get some water, put it in the heater, put the meal in the heater, wait so many minutes, and all this rigmarole, based more on that someone doesn't have the time for that. So there's our general information about the MREs. I would say that this is definitely a success. If you like bologna, I think you'll be okay with eating this. And of course, if it's a real emergency meal, you don't care what it tastes like. You just want something to eat. And the idea, again, behind this idea is I'm looking at things that are inexpensive. You can buy an MRE. I can buy an MRE here, locally here for, say, $8, a full-fledged MRE. So to me, the cost has to be under that, or why would I bother to do it? I just go out and buy the real thing. So, but I'm still looking towards things that you can eat without heating. Later on, we'll look at some things that you do have to heat, or maybe you have to add water to and stuff. And I'm still in the problem here with these things, as these items can freeze. We had some extremely warm weather here in Maine, above 50, and now we're down to 30 again. So you're in a situation where if these meals, you had these meals out stored somewhere in your car, or they could freeze. So you wouldn't want that, because a can freezing, as the things expand, it could break the integrity of the seal, and then you can be in for some trouble. And that's one of the big things you're getting with the standard military MREs. They're all designed in these retort pouches. They're plastic lined with metal, and they have an extremely good seal, so that they can be jostled around, they can be handled, and they won't break that seal. Whereas, something like this, you could break the seal. Something like this, maybe you could squeeze it and break the seal. We'll have to try that, maybe. And like I say, with the cans, again, they could freeze. I think regular non-cold weather MREs, I believe they probably could be frozen and thawed back out, because I think the pouches that they're in are fairly rugged. I'll have to look into that and see if that's true. But here we go. This was part 2. We're going to go on with tasting some other elements and looking for, a vegetable fruit component we can put in that has some type of shelf life. One of the things you could easily put in some dehydrated items. But we'll look into it. We'll see what we can find, because, again, we're looking for things that we can buy that are sealed and have a certain shelf life as well. Tell me what you think below. Bye.